If you just joined us, I'm going to try to hurry through these calls now. Noah, Bullseye, Angela, Joe, and others. If you're a veteran affected by DU, 888-201-2244. It's one thing to have the former head of the Army's DU program on, physicist, scientist, expert, one of the top in the world, or all the government's own Pentagon documents admitting how deadly it is. But it's another thing to actually hear him call in and say exactly what Doug Rokke said 2 years ago here and a month ago here. That it's, the cancers in the lungs, the respiratory problems, the urinary tract where it precipitates out and bioaccumulates, the kidney failure. And I was asking Jason, and then we're going to go to other callers, what is it like to know that they knew specifically and that they're just giving you a sentence of death? What does that say about the people running this thing? Of course they're going to take your mortgage even though you've paid it off and steal your house. Of course they're going to take 6 million dying veterans' death benefits from their families. Bloomberg reporting on it. Of course they're going to inject Guatemalan children with syphilis. What does the back of my film, Endgame Blueprint for Global Enslavement, say? They want you dead. Okay, they say it. They're doing it. I'm sorry this is scary. I'm sorry it's hard to believe. I'm sorry it's a nightmare. But it's real, and you can't choose reality. You can't say, well, I choose not to believe that. It's like Glenn Beck's going blind. He admits he guzzles Diet Coke. The government even admits it makes people go blind. And then his show today, the fill-in host was reportedly making fun of us as we're trying to lovingly warn him and others. That they just I want to die. I want to breathe DU. I want deformed babies. I want all this. I want to be cursed. I'm a giggling yuppie. It's not funny. Over 20% of their unit, who are like 40 years old now, from Desert Storm 191, dead. Jason, finish up your point. What's your view on this?
Yeah, hey, I'm totally with you there, Alex. I mean, they chip away at the stone, and before you know it, a huge chunk is missing, and it's there for everyone to see. I mean, I took an oath to protect the Constitution of the United States, and it's shocking. You're in denial for a while. At some point, you got to accept it for reality and what's going on. And I mean, most of the guys are pretty much on the same sheet of music now. I mean, they weren't going that way before. I mean, this type of data, raw data in front of their face.
And now we know why for 5 years they've been quietly, more than that, but for 5, setting up all of Homeland Security to fight veterans that are going to, quote, bomb police stations, because they're going to stage terror attacks and blame it on vets, but there are also going to be mad vets that are going to come after the government. But why would they go after police departments? They're trying to get the police organized against veterans now, as all these internal Homeland Security reports that we've gotten from law enforcement show. You are the enemy. Doesn't that make perfect sense? Dr. Doug Rokke, your comments on that?
I didn't want to go there. I have to understand. I've been training and involved with law enforcement my entire life, and they're my brothers and my sisters. They're being wasted, too, because the training they've been given is ineffective. The equipment they've been given is ineffective. And all you have to do is look at the confirmation. My buddies, my brothers, my friends, my students that went in the World Trade Center on 911 for the New York Police Department, the New York Fire Department, are sick and dead. And they're dying, and they're fighting for medical care. And I mean, the stories in the news media, again, this last week is, well, this is what we're offering you guys. Take it or leave it. My God.
Incredible.
My God.
But we understand why the government's trying to gear up against vets, because they know the vets are waking up. What's the attitude of the former soldiers that you valiantly fought with, Jason? Are they getting angry?
Yeah, of course they are. I mean, you're talking, these are infantry guys. I mean, they're a pretty patriotic bunch to begin with. We all joined, for our own reasons, at college, whatever, but there's a streak of patriotism in every single one of them. And, some guys it's more than others, and, some of them hold on to it a little bit longer, but the frustration's there, and the ear is there now, too. I mean, everybody's listening, and everybody's beginning to give credit to, arguments like yours, and you're gaining ground, man, and it's a great job that you're doing, and the doctor as well.
Well, we've got to, God bless you, Jason. We've got to gain ground. You think my children are safe in a country, in a world run by people that would march their own troops into clouds of DU knowing it's a death sentence? You think any of us are safe? This is just the stuff we know about. What else is going on? Look, I don't deserve thank yous, okay? I want to be clear about this. I'm trying to survive. When I see an evil threat that's diabolical, I resist it, because the best defense is a strong offense. We've got to get DU removed from the battlefield and treatment for the veterans. Doug Rokke.
That's it. Sums it up completely. I mean, we got some more vets on the phone?
Yes, sir. Let's take them. Noah in Texas, you're on the air.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
I just want to bring everyone's attention to just two things. First of all, I'm an ex-Marine. I served in artillery from 1996 to 1998, and I have an 11-year-old autistic daughter. And I want everyone to Google this news article. Military parents battle the system to help autistic children, because at the end of the second paragraph, it says, according to Defense Department data, the military has double the rate of autism in the civilian world.
Dr. Rokke, we know what's happening to children that have been...
It's all there. I mean, when we look at the Department of Veteran Affairs acknowledgement, again, says very, quote, birth defects in the children whose parents were exposed. So we're seeing all these toxic exposures affecting neuro, affecting all the RNA, DNA, and we're seeing all the birth defects, not only U.S. military children, but the children around the world where it's affected. That's a given. It's an absolute given. And what we have learned also is when military personnel start yelling and screaming about their children, if they yell and scream too loud, man, they're dumped so fast, make your head spin.
Anything else?
Yeah, yes, sir. I wanted to make one other point. On November 17th, George W. Bush is going to be giving a speech at the University of North Texas, and I hope a lot of people show up and protest with me there.
God bless you, sir. I appreciate your call. Boy, it's hard to take these calls, but it's important to put this out there so everybody really understands just how serious this situation is. Who's been holding the longest after Noah, guys? Joe in California, another veteran. Joe, you're on the air with Dr. Doug Rokke.
Yes. I was a combat veteran in Desert Storm, the first one. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, and this is very important. You need to ask these veterans, were they field vaccinated?
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I mean, all my unit, they were field vaccinated. We were forced to shoot ourselves right through the uniform. We'd break the needle, shoot yourself through the uniform with a field vaccination. All my unit got sick. All their kids, the kids that were born afterwards, are messed up. I did not get the vaccination, and my kid is normal.
This is completely the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs and the report issued by Jim Binns. This is in November 2 years ago. Again, totally confirmed all the health effects on the immunizations. This is well known. The immunizations were a toxic mess, not only from the anthrax.
Now, here's another point. I used depleted uranium, and, you know, I was very careful. I was not trying to target kids or civilians, right? But now I read a report after I get back that the kids and the women are going and picking up the radioactive shrapnel and getting poisoned by it.
It's still there, totally contaminated air, water, and soil, and all the children. We get down in Fallujah, we get down in Basra, the medical reports coming out of Basra, not only for the U.S. military there during Desert Storm, but the military that are coming out of there currently, and the civilians. It's a medical disaster, and I've talked to the physicians there and actually spoke at world conferences, the United Nations, and all over Europe with the physicians out of Basra. You're right, it's a complete, total disaster. And just because you didn't target them doesn't mean it, because once it's there until it's removed. And it stays there forever, and you can't really clean it up. That's what I found out when I wrote Army Regulations at 700-48. And that's why I told them they can't use it anymore, and that was the end of my life as far as the military was concerned.
Well said.
Yeah, I appreciate being able to have, my voice heard after 20 years of coming back from Iraq and finding out, I did it for oil. I did it for the big oil.
Well, you also did it for world government, and they hate our veterans because they know you're good men and women, and that's why they soft kill you. But hopefully we can get this out to the young people, and they won't join so they can be basically experimented on and slow killed. Thank you so much, Joe. Bullseye in Texas, another veteran. You're on the air with Dr. Doug Rokke.
Yeah, how you doing, Alex?
Good.
Pleasure to be speaking with you. I was in northern Iraq through Turkey in Operation Provide Comfort. I was in an Apache helicopter unit. We got there about a week after the American Marines ran the Iraqis out. we moved directly into the buildings that the Marines, bombed and shot up, chasing the Iraqi army out, and we lived in those buildings for 6 months.
Did anybody warn you? Did anybody warn you, sir, about how deadly that was?
No, absolutely not. We didn't hear anything about it. About 30 days after I arrived there, I developed a nice, wonderful case of diarrhea. And I've still got that. I've still got that today. I still carry that today.
You'll have that for the rest of your life. I mean, what's happening, again, the Department of Veteran Affairs states very specifically in the clinician's guide for DU that the explosive diarrhea is one of the exact medical problems from the exposures.
I'm not surprised. They've got me at 100% disability now. I'd like to jump forward 10 years to 2001, where I got a letter in the mail from the VA. This is kind of okay. They wanted me to come in for a PTSD screening. I never showed any signs or anything, but they were screening everybody back then. It was a big George Bush thing, I think. Something about veterans on the street. Anyway, I go in there for the screening. The guy talks to me for 20 minutes and sends me home with Prozac. I take it for 2 days, and that stuff is crazy. I don't know how people take it, so I quit taking it. I went in 30 days later, 20 minutes after that second appointment. He tells me, he says, hey, and he uses my name, and he says, you have a saint complex. All saints are dead. You need to become one of the lying, cheating thieves of this world or leave this world.
Who said this to you?
The head Army psychiatrist at the Temple, Texas VA hospital.
Well, there is a cult of these people, and that sounds about like how they talk. Dr. Rokke, you ever heard anything like this happening before?
Every day. One of the problems we run into with the PTSD and psychologists and psychiatrists is they want to medicate all of the problems away. They don't want to deal with the true medical problems involved with the neurotoxicity from all the complex toxic exposures, not just DU. So they figure, well, we'll dumb them on down by giving them the meds. Now, the problem we're running into, and Army Times has written about this, it's been written up a lot, we've done a lot of reports. When you start combining all these medications, you combine pain medications with the other medications for the physiological problems, and then you combine the psychotropic drugs, you're going to end up with a total nightmare. And that's what we're seeing. The Army Times editorial here a few weeks ago called for that to stop. I've been, continually yanking their chain. A lot of other people have, and they're getting the reports.
Well, the Prozac insert admits it causes suicide. So here, take this. Right. But the main reason they put you on the drugs is so they can say you're a mental patient to take your Second Amendment rights.
Right. Well, they found, and it's even in my records, he found that I did not have PTSD.
Caller, you still there?
Canceled all my pain meds. Then they said they were worried I was going to get addicted to them, and they canceled them. I've had none since, so don't need to worry about that.
All
and
right,
about 2 years after that, they sent me another letter for a standard hearing test. You're going to like this one.
So they're still going after you.
Yeah, so I figured, let me go stick my toe back in the water and see what we can do.
Well, listen, Bullseye, God bless you. We'll do another one of these broadcasts soon, hurrying through the veterans' calls. But we're hearing the same story over and over again. Angela in Oklahoma, you're on the air with Dr. Doug Rokke. Go ahead.
Hello, guys. My father fought in Korea, 1987. He had a nosebleed, and then he started just bleeding all over the place. After much of this, we went to the VA down there in California, and they had asked us, can we have permission to take your dad's blood? And when I walked in, because I asked for a conference with every single doctor that was involved.
Sure, what happened? What happened?
People from Mayo Clinic from all over the world, scientists came to get my dad's blood, a slide of his blood. Not only was he from Oklahoma, Choctaw full blood, which his family was exterminated, coming here from Mississippi to begin with, they told us that my father was just as lucky as winning the lotto. His chances of getting what they called at the time was erythroleukemia. He finally died of erythroleukemia. My father's case was one of the very first cases that the VA and I guess...
Yeah, there's now all these new cancers coming out, and they're becoming very common. So what's the bottom line? What do you think he was exposed to?